Not many of us have experience with SLP or speech language pathology. If we bring that into the autistic community, many of us do not know how that may help. So join us as we discover how SLP can help nonverbal autistic individuals.
Welcome to the My Spectrum Life podcast. My name is Jessica. I'm an autism mom. With me today are my friends Kelsey and Hillary. Hey, Kelsey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Kelsey, a SPED teacher, and with us we have Hillary. Hey, Hillary, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Pretty good.
Good.
So Hillary is as you well know, for the past 2 podcasts, she is our ultimate favorite SLP. But she is with us to talk to us about, again, a little bit more about her experiences. And we are excited to dive into the world of how SLP can help nonverbal children. So how does that look in a school setting? Let's just talk about a school setting for a sec. How does that look in a school setting?
Sure. Typically our kids are ID'd pretty early. At least in my school district, we have programs that we basically take kids out of, their baby net programs, so what they were doing when they were little. And then we just transition them into a school-based setting. So nonverbal students range from kids on the spectrum to kids with other disabilities. Some are more functional than others. I have seen everything from, iPad AAC to PEX, which is like a picture exchange system. So yeah, it's all very different depending on the child.
Okay. And what are some of the things that can hold a child back when it comes to the particular system that they need?
Well, there are lots of considerations that we make when it comes to actually deciding what system we want to try with the child. And so when they're young, we start them with, we basically just throw everything at them. We're like, here is everything I can offer you. So all of my preschool students have a communication picture book. So they will have different little Velcro pictures that they can pull on and off to like request things around the classroom. Or for my kids that are already making some verbalization attempts, it might not be, English yet, but it's at least sounds that they're connecting to something. I like to try to capitalize on that. So they may take me over to the ball and just say, buh, buh, buh. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the ball. Here, let's take it down. Let's play with it. Let's roll the ball back and forth. So It's really about giving them all the options that I can and then seeing what they take to and then going with that, because most behavior issues when children are younger stem from a lack of ability to communicate what's going on with them internally. So.
Yep. And you're right, Hillary. And I know you work, again, I'm a SPED teacher, so we work with SLPs a lot. And even including with that, when I worked in the younger years, the team would meet together, the IEP team would meet, and we'd be like, hey, you know what? This ACC device needs to be in, because sometimes we need more than just a picture communication book. And we would try it out. And so as a team, even the parent will take observations and take notes and say, you know what, this doesn't work. This system does work. Nah, we need something more. And we go through it. And the Board of Disabilities actually has a lot of resources that we as a school and a parent can ultimately get a free trial with the devices, as well as different devices and how to work those devices. There's actual parent trainings with the Board of Disabilities and things about certain ACC augmented, augmented communication. I forget what it stands for.
I can't remember the other A is, though. It's like something communication.
So when she says it is a team effort, including the parent, including the child in itself, because the child, it goes back to the behavior. Correct me if I'm wrong. It goes back to the behavior, because if a child is frustrated with that device, you're going to lose what you already have and you don't want to. And so you really stop something and you try to figure out what works best for them. And it takes a while. How long do you think? I think I've been on the process, and even the year that I was working with that child, we still hadn't found one yet.
Well, and really the struggle is like, you know, you think, and like, I think I even thought this when I first started working, is I was just going to hand this to a kid and he was going to be like, thank God, the keys to the city, and just take off. But that's really not it, because what happens a lot is that we have kids who don't have what you would call a communicative intent. They don't have that want to communicate with someone. So you have to help that child to realize that by doing these things, I can get what I want more easily. And so sometimes if that first step hasn't been taken, I mean, you can throw them whatever you want, but it's just not going to take. So sometimes that's why it takes longer than others. And some kids already have that communicative intent. They just don't have the modality. And so when you give them the modality, they take off.
Right.
So it's, again, different from child to child.
Exactly.
That's a very important point, is that it's different from every child to child, regardless of whether they're autistic or some of the other disabilities that you've had to deal with, that you help through the school system. Now, for somebody who is just goes to private practice versus school, what are some, and you said you worked in that, what are some, how does that work out if it's just through a private practice?
I would say we're all pretty much doing the same thing as far as like therapy goes. I will say having my kids at the school provides me lots of opportunities to make sure they're using their communication strategies throughout different settings. Versus when I was at private practice, I only saw that child when they were there in the building with me. Like, I could take them around and have them talk to different adults who like knew what we were doing. So it was kind of cheating. But I really like having my kids like order their own lunch, you know, making sure they're using their devices, like when they're in the lunchroom or when they're participating in like class activities. And so I just like being able to make sure that communication is being used everywhere and not just with me.
Right. So then that also kind of puts a little bit of a burden on us as parents, and how much we have got to advocate for our child. Am I correct? Oh yeah. And think that.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, and making sure that you're holding your child accountable for what they have already been taught and know how to do, because there needs to be that back and forth communication between your team at school or your private practice team, depending on who you're working with, on what you can hold that child accountable for versus what they're still working on. So I always will tell my parents, like, this is a skill that he is doing 100% of the time in school. He can be doing this at home. Right. Just so we're all on the same page, because holding them accountable for something that they can't do can be very frustrating and create like a poor experience for you at home also.
Yeah. Do you do parent training? Like one-on-one parent training or peer training?
I definitely do. I communicate with my parents a lot. As far as the district goes, like, we don't offer anything like that. I have done a lot. I've offered parents things and like sent them resources from our community that they can reach out to. But since, you know, my contractual time does not exist outside of, you know, 3 p.m. So if I could, I love talking with my parents about different things that they're seeing and like helping them troubleshoot at home. But as far as parent training, no, that's not something that I do currently.
That makes it hard for the school system to do. And that's why, as parents, we've got to do a lot of advocating for our child to know what's going on, both at the school, through private practice, and everywhere they're at. So, so we want to hear from you. What has been your experience in, especially if you have a nonverbal autistic loved one? We'd actually like to know. Comment below or shoot us an email about what is your favorite system, or what have you found out to be the system that has worked best for your child? Because one of the things that we can do is that through the comments on our video, or if you email us, we can create a community and a resource, a library of different things to use. And it's always helpful to get communication and input from others. So send us an email at info@myspectrumlife.com, or you can get a hold of us on other ways.
You can drop a comment or message us on Facebook and Instagram at MySpectrumLife, or you can tweet us at MySpectrumLife with that number 1.
And remember, with a lot of faith, love, and tons of fidget toys, and probably some cards and a few other things, we'll make it.
We will.
Bye.